Whether you want to improve your health, social skills, test scores, or anything in life, there are a couple of underlying principles which can be applied to almost every field in order to improve. The more you apply the principles, the better you will understand how and when they should be used, or if they should even be used at all, allowing you to become adaptable and improve at anything. This series is unique as it is designed to be the ultimate masterclass to improvement in any field, usable at any time. Make sure to save it and come back to it whenever needed. We will start by covering the key mindset shifts that can be applied to enhance improvement. Later on, we will look at the difference between performance and practice states. After that, we will get to the most important part of the series, the principles. Finally, we will highlight key biological concepts and models that are important for improvement, and look at examples and application of the principles in the real world. Mindset. A person's mindset is a clear indicator of if they will improve or not. Your mindset is what allows you to unlock your potential to improve. Mindset shifts don't happen overnight. They require time and action to cultivate, becoming more and more ingrained over time. Your mindset is never fixed and is always changing. It is up to you to reflect on your thoughts. Catch yourself when you are falling into a negative mindset. Beliefs determine action. Shifting towards favorable and beneficial beliefs lead to favorable and beneficial actions. It is not possible to control the thoughts you have, but what you can control is your actions and response to these thoughts. They are merely beliefs that can help you improve. Each of these ideologies should not be viewed as steps to success or separate. This series is not designed as a checklist, but as tools for you to use as you see fit. As you continue to improve, experiment, and learn, you will come to your own answers, develop your own tools, and your own ideologies for improvement. And that should be your goal. The ideologies presented are just designed to push you in the right direction. The rest is up to you. All are linked in a multitude of ways and are in no particular order. Any skill is trainable with enough time and effort. Every peak performer was once a beginner. Every master was once a student. No consistent peak performer attributes their skill to luck, but intense practice, feedback, and adjustment over a long period of time. Once you realize how anyone has ever gotten good at anything, it is undeniable proof that any skill is trainable with enough time and effort. It isn't cliché to have such a mindset, as it is what those who have achieved greatness believed. When things get tough, your mind will be at peace realizing that with enough time and focused effort, you can achieve your goal. However, you have to have realistic ideas. It's not likely that you can join the NBA with 3 months of training, but the fact of the matter is that the capacity to improve always exists. It's up to you to go out and find the limit. Go to failure. Failure is beneficial. As you grow, you are taught that failure is the worst possible outcome. This could be in school, when students are punished for failing, or in other walks of life, where people who fail are looked down upon. You begin avoiding failure at all costs, to avoid the feeling of embarrassment or being judged. When you inevitably fail, you begin treating yourself horribly, as that is how society treats those who fail. This stops you from taking risks or pushing yourself to your limits, preventing growth and improvement. It's normal to fear failure, and beneficial in most cases. It is what keeps us alive in dangerous situations, such as fear of death, which stimulates the release of adrenaline into the body, increasing heart rate, pumping more blood to the muscles, increasing the chance of survival. But what's dangerous is the fear of looking like a fool, the fear of being judged or looked down upon for trying and then failing. Look at how babies learn how to walk. They begin by learning how to sit and crawl via observation and trying to replicate the people around them. Eventually, they stand up, maybe take a couple steps, but inevitably fall. However, they get up and are encouraged to do so, and keep attempting and failing until walking becomes second nature, something that barely needs thinking to perform. They don't say anything about making mistakes or humiliating themselves. Similar processes occur when learning other important skills too, such as speaking, reading, and writing. The idea is that, like babies, when we set out to try something new or beyond our capabilities, failure is a vital part of the process of improvement. It can be treated as a data point, allowing you to understand where your limits lie. It should be reflected upon and analyzed. You should ask questions, understand where you went wrong and why. Were your goals unrealistic? Did you become overconfident? Did you push too hard and burn out? This develops your ability to analyze the data you have collected and problem solve using that information. To improve, you may fail more than you succeed. A student does not show up to the class knowing or understanding all the knowledge. They come to learn. A beginner doesn't show up to the gym already jacked. They come to become jacked. It's not success that makes you stronger. It's failure. But it's easier said than done. Failure hurts. And it's normal to feel pain when you fail. Your focus should be on your response, how you view your failure, and what your next steps are. In the gym, it's common sense that you push yourself to failure in order to grow stronger. Why not treat other fields the same way? Overall, failure is essential for improvement and fear is a natural emotion, inevitable when exiting your comfort zone. It's a vital part of the equation of improvement. You need to understand how to deal with them both. In most cases, it's the fear of embarrassment which drives many away from even trying. Deal with failure. Ideally, as you consistently push yourself beyond your comfort zone, you become more comfortable with the feeling of failure. As if you are developing your failure and risk muscle over time by slightly pushing yourself out of your comfort zone constantly. You need to identify areas in your field of improvement in which failure isn't dangerous or traumatic and give yourself space to fail and to recover, which will prove beneficial in the long term as you consistently use these failures as data points, helping you set realistic goals. You must also separate your failure from yourself. I have failed versus I am a failure. You must understand that you can be a person who can fail, but it does not mean you are a failure. Once you admit your failures, you can start analyzing and improving. Don't be judgmental, just observe. Feedback mechanisms are vital to deal with failure, which we will delve deeper into later. Try shifting to a more experimental mindset. Try new things in order to gain information, to find out what works and what doesn't. Scientists don't experiment in order to reach a specific outcome. They experiment to learn, to see the results not as failures, but data. View yourself in a similar way, without judgment. Use this data to gain awareness. Simply observe your performance. Learn to fail, or fail to learn. If you learn from failure, you never fail. Embrace the pain of failure. Embrace pain and discomfort. In the brain, pleasure and pain are co-located. This means that both are processed in overlapping regions of the brain. Pain and pleasure are related and work together as an opponent process mechanism. The best way to visualize this is to think of the pain-pleasure balance, created by Dr. Anna Lemke. There are two sides on the balance, the pleasure side and the pain side. There are two cases, pressing on the pain side or the pleasure side. Case 1. Pressing on the pleasure side. Pleasure side is pressed when you perform acts of instant gratification, such as scrolling, drugs, or eating junk food. However, the balance wants to remain level due to the body's natural homeostatic tendencies, so self-regulating hormones kick in, pressing on the pain side in order to bring the balance back to level. As a result, the instant gratification act leads to pain. You may have personal experience with this, such as after scrolling for prolonged periods of time or eating junk food, which can make you feel worse after a while. Case 2. Pressing on the pain side. The balance acts in the exact same way, just in the opposite direction. The pain side is pressed when you perform acts of delayed gratification, such as exercise. The balance wants to remain level, so self-regulating hormones kick in, pressing on the pleasure side to return the balance back to normal. Feel-good hormones known as endorphins are released, which act as a natural pain blocker by binding to mu-opioid pain receptors, delivering a natural high. As a result, pain, or delayed gratification, leads to pleasure. You may experience this after a tough workout or taking a cold shower. Just to clarify, pain in this context relates to the mental discomfort or pain that comes naturally from difficult delayed gratification tasks, not physically hurting yourself. After discussing the pain-pleasure balance, it is clear that discomfort leads to happiness and should be sought out. The feeling of pleasure also acts as positive reinforcement, pushing you to continue and become consistent. The feeling of intrinsic motivation from simply doing the difficult task because you enjoy it can also improve performance, coupled with consistency can lead to improvement. In addition, discomfort is also a requirement to improve. Without any stress or discomfort, the body has no reason to change or adapt. Try to reframe uncomfortable situations. Instead of fear, it should excite you. View them as opportunities to become better, become stronger. The feeling of being able to improve should be a positive one. It's not about the pursuit of happiness, but the happiness of pursuit. The man who enjoys walking will walk more than the man who enjoys the destination. Focus on the journey. Be patient. Be patient. Play the long game. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. The modern world is obsessed with locking in. The idea of sustaining intense bouts of performance for an upcoming event, such as studying intensely for an exam, which takes place in a couple days. This could be beneficial if your goal is short-term improvement, but for long-term improvement and better results, a different approach must be taken. You must play the long game. The first step is to understand that real, long-lasting improvement takes time. Like building a bridge. If you build a bridge quickly, less reinforcement, it can easily be swept away by the wind. However, with time and consistency, reinforcing the bridge, it will be stronger and last longer. Most people think that progress is linear. Enter the plateau of latent potential. This graph illustrates how results and improvement actually develop through practice. Most people expect time put into a task is directly proportional to results. However, this is not the case. The relationship is more exponential, as illustrated in the graph. The gap between the expected results line and the actual results line is known as the valley of disappointment. In this valley, your mental state becomes negative, and you become frustrated. You ask questions such as, why am I not improving? And where are the results of my efforts? But the reality is, improvement isn't linear. You may have to put in effort for weeks on end in order to see a 1% improvement. But after that initial hurdle, you'll improve faster and more than expected. You must begin by accepting that improvement isn't linear. You may not see significant improvements in a single day. It may take weeks for you to progress. This is the reality. It's normal to feel disappointed and frustrated when you have been pushing for so long with nothing to show for it. It's tough. You have to keep pushing through. However, you do not want to be stuck in the valley for too long. If you feel it has been too long since you have improved, try to analyze your experience. Try new techniques, strategies, and training approaches. Keep experimenting. As you continue to practice, you will develop the skill of being able to understand when you keep pushing and when to change up your approach. Thinking short-term can be dangerous. When a reward or improvement is desired in the short term, it pushes people to cheat and find shortcuts, as opposed to consistent discipline. Patience is a vital skill that high performers excel in, but incredibly hard to develop. Ironically, it may take a long time to develop patience. Nowadays, people have become much more impatient due to the fast-paced nature of the world, due to the development of the internet and smartphones. Patience is developed through action. Patience is developed through action and by the ability to live in the present. Try to focus on this exact moment, not next week or tomorrow, or even the next minute. Just focus on now and the next specific step you can take to improve. It's not about just waiting for improvement, but knowing that with enough effort and the right kinds of practice, it will come. Imagine trying to cut down a tree using an axe. It may take hundreds of swings, but eventually it will fall. But it wasn't the only final swing that caused the tree to fall. It was due to the accumulation of the previous hundreds of swings. In the same way, effort put into improvement is never wasted and can be useful regardless of the result. The plateau of latent potential over time can be modeled using this graph. It is clear that you may be stuck in the valley of disappointment for a while, but after some jumps in improvement, you'll improve faster than you expected. However, the reality isn't so smooth. The true graph is unpredictable. You may improve very quickly and plateau, or plateau for a while before experiencing large jumps in improvement. You may not see results, but you can be improving in the background, as effort is never wasted. Reward comes from effort, not results. In the 1970s, a study was conducted inside a school. Kids who enjoyed drawing during free time were identified and placed into 3 groups. The first group were shown certificates and medals and were asked if they wanted to draw in order to receive these rewards. The second group did not expect the reward, but were given a reward after they drew. The third group received no reward. A while after this session, the researchers set out pen and paper during their free time to see how the students would react. The unexpected reward and the no reward group continued to draw just as much. However, within the first group, the expected reward group, they subsequently showed less interest in drawing. But why? When the action, or drawing, was connected to the reward beforehand, the kids lost their intrinsic motivation. There are two types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic, which can be represented on a spectrum. Extrinsic motivation is the drive for external, if-then rewards, such as money, a grade, or looking good in the eyes of others. Intrinsic motivation is different. It is the drive to do an activity because you love and enjoy it. This could be a hobby or passion, something you do just because you love it, no strings attached. When I mention intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, I am referring to the internal or external reasons behind performing a certain task, not motivation levels. What happened to the kids in the expected reward group? When they knew a reward was imminent, they started drawing for the reward. Due to this shift from drawing because they love it to then drawing because of the reward, they lost their autonomy. In effect, they lost self-control. Like a horse being controlled by a carrot on the stick, they become controlled by the reward. It wasn't due to the reward itself. Because the unexpected reward group drew just as much, it was due to the expectation of the reward. It was due to the if-then rewards. If you do X, you will receive Y. Offering a reward for a complex task may result in inhibiting the wide-ranging thinking necessary for innovation. That is why you should strive to perform activities for intrinsic reasons, for the fact that you want to, not because someone else wants you to. Another study investigated how self-determined choice affects performance. The participants were instructed to play a stopwatch game, where the goal was to stop the stopwatch within a specific time frame. The participants were split into two conditions, the self-determined choice condition and the forced choice condition. Both groups were presented with stopwatches. In the self-determined choice condition, the participants were able to freely choose the type of stopwatch that they would use for the game. In the forced choice condition, the participants were forced to play with a stopwatch assigned by the computer. What the data revealed was that the performance in the stopwatch task was significantly better in the self-determined choice condition. Not only did participants perform better in self-determined choice condition, they also responded to feedback and were more resilient to failure. Hence, it is clear that intrinsic reasoning is beneficial for performance. Extrinsic motivation can also lead to burnout, due to the fact your motivation is dependent on external factors, which is not controllable or sustainable in the long term. You become weighed down by your extrinsic motivator, which eventually leads to fatigue. However, intrinsic motivation isn't based on results. Intrinsic motivation can remove pressure, give you more freedom, which can help you improve. Failure is still vital for improvement, but when your motivations are intrinsic, it's easier to bounce back and learn from, and push through failure without judgment. Whenever you are stuck, just think back to your reason for pursuing. When the reward is expected, the activity is done just for the sake of the reward. This is known as the over-justification effect. The over-justification effect when an extrinsic reward is offered for an activity that is already intrinsically enjoyable, significantly decreasing intrinsic motivation in the future, which is what happened in the study. This signals that the activity itself isn't rewarding, so the focus shifts to the reward. This breaks the conventional idea that more rewards equal better performance, more money equal better work. However, it's clear this isn't the case. Looking at the highest level of professional football, the best player isn't the one who gets paid the most. So, what reasons for doing an activity are intrinsic? In the book Drive, great book on motivation by the way, the author Daniel Pink lists 3: autonomy, mastery, and purpose after basic needs are fulfilled. The study mentioned is a perfect example of how when autonomy is lost, there is a large decrease in intrinsic motivation, subsequently causing the kids to stop withdrawing. You'll need some level of autonomy to improve, including what, when, and how you do something. Control leads to compliance, autonomy leads to engagement, and only engagement leads to mastery. The desire of mastery to get better at something can be intrinsically motivating itself. The feeling of making progress by trying something out, gaining feedback, and readjusting feels good. As you gain confidence in yourself, this links to the concept of the flow state, which we will discuss later. The final drive is purpose. Doing activities that impact and affect more than oneself can be intrinsically motivating. Highlighting your why, your reason for wanting to improve, can be beneficial. Ask yourself questions to decode where your reasons lie on the spectrum and try to shift towards an intrinsic approach, even when the task is done for an extrinsic reason. However, reasons for doing a task always change. You may shift from intrinsic to extrinsic within the same minute. It is never set in stone. You don't always need a why. Just do the task, experiment, and see how you respond. Effort is also a risk. You never know if you'll improve. You may give it your all and never be good enough by your own standards. What's the point of putting in effort if you gain nothing from it? But effort is never truly wasted. Regardless of if you win or lose, you learn about yourself, about your likes and interests. You become more better at being uncomfortable, allowing yourself to push yourself in other fields. You live life with less regrets, less what ifs. With effort, you truly get to live life. In short, your focus should be on processes, not outcomes. Become effort-driven, not outcome-driven. In the modern world, it's common to be chasing the next goal or waiting for something, chasing more money or waiting for the weekend, the next holiday. It's difficult to live in the present when better times await. But if you shift to enjoying effort, an activity you love, you'll start to enjoy life more. Enjoying efforts puts you in control because you are the one pushing yourself, being able to find joy at will. Once you enjoy effort, it is never wasted. Activities will always have both extrinsic and intrinsic reasons. It's about honing in on the intrinsic in order to become consistent and allow you to push yourself. But to improve, you can't always perform tasks you enjoy. You need to push yourself out of the comfort zone, for that is where growth happens. During tasks you hate, you need to balance doing parts of the activity you enjoy with pushing yourself and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations for growth. As you progress, you'll improve your judgment and realize how to navigate such environments. A simple motivator you could pursue is having fun. It sounds simple, but is a powerful reason for pursuing an activity. Have a fun and relaxed mindset. Discard all external motivators and just try to enjoy yourself. And don't stress over making improvements. Your reasons don't have to be extravagant or complex. It could be as simple as having fun. Overall, it is important to define your reasons for pursuing improvement. Your reasons can be simple. You may pursue something just because you love it. The key is to identify where your reasons lie on the spectrum and reflect. Growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck has categorized mindsets into two: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Those with the fixed mindset believe that qualities are set in stone. Intelligence, personality, and character are qualities that can never be changed, no matter the effort or time put into trying to improve that quality. The idea that qualities are determined only by genetics, not environment. People with the fixed mindset are more likely to blame external factors and view high performers as superhuman, beyond what they could reach even with effort and training. They shy away from even trying, fearing failure. They also crave external validation instead of personal fulfillment. Those with the growth mindset think differently, embodying the 5 ideologies discussed previously. They believe that qualities and skills are developed, that they are cultivated through consistent effort and training. Instead of blaming, they look within, reflect, and question themselves. They treat failure like data, use it to learn, adjust, and improve. Instead of thinking, I am a failure, they separate themselves from the mistake. They think, I failed, differentiating between themselves and the mistake. They enjoy stretching themselves to the limit and love taking risks. When the inevitable challenges of life face them, they thrive. For them, what is hard is fun. They allow themselves to delve into their passions and become the best as a byproduct. They value the activity rather than the outcome. We all alternate between a fixed and growth mindset. You could have a fixed mindset in one field and have a growth mindset in another, and may even shift in and out of the growth mindset in the same field. The key is to question your thoughts and beliefs. Ask yourself why you believe certain things. Try to catch when you get stuck in a fixed mindset. As you continue to practice and reflect upon your mindset, you'll slowly rewire and shift towards a growth mindset. For each section of this video, I would like to present some practical steps which push you in the right direction. These will be small building blocks which you eventually will build upon, allowing you to independently improve your mindset. It's important to mention that whenever you reflect, it should be without judgment. Your focus is to learn from your experiences. Pause the video and try some of these out. In the next part of the series, we will continue with the actual principles which can be applied in the field. Please make sure to include any feedback and video suggestions in the comments. Join the Discord, an environment designed to discuss human performance and help you improve. Stay tuned for the next part.